Head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
You all know how it is when a bully sees you with your big brother and the bully won't mess with you, try to take your lunch money. But as soon as they see you without your big brother, they come bully you and beat you up and take your lunch money. That is exactly how things are when Denzel Ward is not on the field for Greg Newsome and Martin Emerson. As soon as Denzel Ward leaves the field, opposing teams go right at Emerson and Newsome and take their lunch money. I don't know what has happened to both of them, but they're not playing well. And with the way that things are going, I think about trading one of them and possibly giving Cam Mitchell some reps on the outside. Those are my thoughts, but keep going and keep watching this team. Go Browns.
As always, appreciate all of the voicemails. Scott, yeah, I can't argue. I can't argue with that. Martin Emerson is one especially. I thought he was posed to kind of have a really big time breakout year, and he struggled.
Yeah, I never had a brother, but I get that analogy, and I think it's correct that we see it in all kinds of sports, right? If it's probably not only sports. If you lose a guy out of his position and everybody's got to slide up a notch, then things are exposed. And I still think Martin Emerson Jr. is a really good player. I think Greg Newsome's a good player and legitimate NFL guys. But when you don't have your number one lockdown guy out there, then you're asking a lot of Emerson. You're asking a lot of Newsome. And, I like Cam Mitchell. I don't, the coaches obviously think that Newsome's better right now, and I think that's probably true. I think Mitchell feels like a slot guy to me, and Newsome's got some versatility inside and out. But, those guys, then you put them in tough spots. And on top of that, Jim Schwartz's defense asks so much of his corners. They play a ton of man, and if the pass rush doesn't get there in time, those guys can get exposed. And I think we've seen that a lot this year, where they need the pass rush to get home faster, to take just a little bit of pressure off these guys, a little bit of responsibility. And the quarterbacks are making good plays, but it's just like a tick here, a tick there, that if you just make the quarterback rush it, maybe it's not a perfect throw, and we're not looking at Martin Emerson giving up touchdowns in back-to-back games.
I know you wrote an article about Emerson and the defense kind of trying to turn the corner, disappointing season. Take us through that and kind of, what your thought process through that is.
Yeah, it was played off kind of what you mentioned, Dave, that the expectations were so high for Martin Emerson Jr. I talked to him at the Greenbrier, and we were talking about how his teammates thought he was snubbed last year, not getting to the Pro Bowl. And he wouldn't come out and say it, but he agreed with them. He talked about he thought he was the best corner in his corner class, and there were some big-time corners in that class. Sauce Gardner, Derek Stingley, McDuffie, I think was the third one, all Pro Bowl, all-pro kind of guys. And, that's how confident he is and how well he played his first 2 years, that it didn't seem outlandish for him to say things like that. And it's a tough position, Kevin Stefanski said it's an occupational hazard playing corner to give up some touchdowns. But we've seen, he got beat for a touchdown last week, got beat for one against the Eagles. And even before that, Malik Neighbors got the best of him in the first half of that Giants game. Against the Raiders, I felt like Emerson was scared to get beat deep, so he gave up a bunch of passes underneath. So, he's a big corner. He's not the twitchiest corner, and maybe teams are figuring out ways to attack him. And not that he won't get better, and I do like his size and his physicality, but there's been way more hiccups this year than there have in the past, and that's part of the reason the defense isn't playing as well as it did last year, because one of their top guys isn't playing as well as he did last year.